So today I wanted to talk about the first 14 days of my carnivore experience, which were the hardest 14 days I think I've ever gone through when changing a lifestyle because I didn't know that I had such a strong food addiction, especially sugar and carbs, that I did. Because the first 2 days, not too bad. Okay, it's meat all the time. Fried eggs, love fried eggs. My whole childhood is just fried eggs. But when it got into day 3 and 4, and my family isn't on the same dietary plan or dietary journey as I am, so I have two young boys. They're still eating a standard diet, and my wife was eating a standard diet, and I was like, okay, I need to do this for me, and I'm going to do it. Ooh, it was difficult to watch all that stuff in my house and not eat it. And there's a couple times I slept, like I had a piece of popcorn, and that was on day 13. We'll circle around back to that later. But the the changes that occurred that quickly from going from a standard diet to straight to strict carnivore, it was rapid, and uh, the weight came off quickly in the first 2 weeks. Like I probably dropped close to 2 kilos in that first 2 weeks very quickly. But the immediate benefit was I no longer had indigestion problems. Like I would go to bed with terrible gastric pain. I would just be miserable. I'd go to bed early just so I could try to sleep through the pain. And then I'd wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning just because I wasn't sleeping better. But after the first 5 or 6 days, I was sleeping almost 5 hours, which I hadn't managed in like 2 or 3 years. It was a godsend. I felt rested, which I hadn't felt in a long time. Like I got to that point where, like, if I had a nap, I dreamed because I hadn't been getting good sleep. If I fell asleep for more than half an hour, I'd be dreaming because my brain wasn't getting the good deep sleep that it needs. And then talk go Huberman and the other neuroscientists that talked about the need for deep sleep and what happens when you suffer from a lack of deep sleep, and your brain will try to get that cycle in somehow as quickly as possible. Like it was disturbing. Like you're not supposed to have detailed and exorbitant, vibrant dreams from a nap. Like not the way I was having them, and because I knew it was wrong. It was like this doesn't. Why am I having these vivid dreams like from a 20-minute nap? And sometimes they're so nightmarish that they wake me up. So that was the first thing I noticed. I was getting better sleep. I was no longer having indigestion issues of any kind. My stomach didn't feel like it was bloated, and I was tremendously more relaxed, and I started feeling the benefits right away. So those are the first things, but that's counterbalanced with the fact that I was dealing with my addictions to food, and that was the hardest part in those first 14 days. Aside from one other thing, and everybody will talk about it, and a lot of people fail because you will have you'll get the squirts. There's no good way of putting it. You're just going to get the squirts, and it's going to be nasty, like nasty, nasty. And this is coming from a guy who's had ulcerative colitis since he was 21 years old. Like even for me, it was like, oh, really? I got to go through this, but it didn't hurt. It was just unpleasant. So if you or anyone who has ulcerative colitis will tell you that sometimes your bowel movements hurt because you're going so hard because you've eaten so much fiber and there's so much crap in your system that it's causing you pain inside your gut. You're not supposed to be able to feel, by the way, but I won't get into that because I've had 7 colonoscopies in my lifetime so far, and I'm due for my 8th. And When they offer you to knock you out, I always took it because I don't need to be conscious. Because I was conscious for the first three, and on the last one, the guy hit me in the ribs because he drive like I don't. If you could call driving a colonoscopy camera driving, this guy was not good at it because he hit me in the ribs. I felt it, and I went, "Ooh, that's uncomfortable." He goes, "Oh, you shouldn't feel that." Well, try not hitting me in other places. Like slow down on the curves, Sparky. Jesus. Anyway, from that point, once you get past that, though, and this is why, for me, I read about this. I watched it. It's like, yes, you're going to have diarrhea. It's sometimes explosive, and it wasn't explosive for me because for me to be explosive, I'd have to blow up the room in the house, and that's not going to happen. But it sounded more like someone taking a piss than someone having a dump. It's not. It ain't the greatest sound in the world, but at least I'm going. That's why, though, I decided to make sure I was getting supplemental electrolytes because I knew that if your body is lacking and you're transitioning to, from or transferring to a lipid-based food model, you need to make sure your electrolytes are balanced and you're getting all of the nutrients and minerals that you can. So I taken electrolyte tablets, omega 3 and omega 6 pill, magnesium zinc supplement, and also an iodine supplement because um, I think that the assumption that we're iodine deficient in a lot of cases, even here in the UK, isn't a bad one based on the fact that I was hypothyroid when hypothyroid when I was about 27 because I had moved away from home. I didn't have our well water, and I didn't and I because of gaining weight back in my 20s, I cut back on my salt intake and all that because it was salt's bad and all that. So I think that I became iodine deficient that way, and I think that affected my ability to create the hormones in my thyroid to function properly. So it just quit. That was what my doctor said. What happens? I got carpal tunnel. My doctor said, "Oh, that's odd. I'm going to check your thyroid." Oh yeah, you have almost no thyroid function. So I got on the thyroid medication. I got over my carpal tunnel, and so therefore I moved on from that. But the whole point is that with my electrolytes balanced, my diarrhea time didn't last that long. Actually, maybe 4 days tops. And at the end of it, then I went down to like almost, well, what I consider normal now is like I only have to go every other day, which to someone who's had an IBD, an inflammatory bowel disease, like my average used to be 3 to 4 times a day. That was normal for me. 3 to 4 times a day, three to four bowel movements a day, and now it's like once every other day. That freaked me out a little, to be honest. So, but now I'm used to it, and it's like, yeah, like there's nothing wrong. I don't have any intestinal issues. I don't feel bloated or girded or stressed that way. I feel fine, actually, better than before. Obviously, I'll keep saying it because I do. It's just that way. But the dealing with the carb addiction and the sugar addiction and the eating the binge eating is what really was the mental part for me. It was really tough to say, no, you don't need to eat all day. You don't need a snack right now. You're not hungry, you're craving. And that's really tricky to get past when you first start is letting your body talk to you about when it needs food and when it wants food. Because when it wants food, that's usually from here. When it needs food, it's from here. And here is playing a game of saying, hey, let's just, who's going to know that you had a cookie? Who's going to know that you had some chips? Who's going to know that you had some nuts? Well, ultimately I will, and ultimately I had to change that because I didn't want to be in the same situation that I have been for the last 6 years, 7 years, like just eating and eating and eating to mask everything else that wasn't going well that I thought in my life. And so once you get into that mindset that what, I'm going to stick the course, this is going to work out, and lo and behold, after that first 14 days and going on further and further, I don't need it or I don't want it anymore. I still remember it. There are things about food I still love and I'm never going to forget, but I don't want them anymore. They don't serve me at all. So I don't serve them. And that's the biggest takeaway. You've got to get over those first 14 days and you've got to make 30. Because once you make 30, getting to 60 is nothing. And once you get to 60, you don't even think about it anymore. This is the way I eat now. It's become a habit. And it's a good habit. At least it has been so far. I'm going to be getting blood work done next week. It's going to be a really detailed panel. It's going to be my nutrients, my testosterone, my thyroid function, my liver and kidney function. Because I've lost so much weight so quickly, like the NHS is like, woohoo, beware the carnivore diet. And they've got a whole hit piece on the NHS website about the carnivore diet and James Blunt got scurvy. And like, yeah, you got to give up alcohol. The reason why British sailors got scurvy is because they also got a daily portion of rum. Alcohol blocks vitamin C uptake, right? Most sugars do. I eat a lot of fat and I get a lot of nutrients, and I don't feel deficient in any way. I don't feel drained of energy anymore. I feel like I need to get up and do something right now. It's like 10:30. I've already done all my morning stuff. I'm making ground beef jerky. Thank you, Nia. That's just the best recipe ever. And my boys, if you haven't heard them already, are playing in the other room, and I think we need to get them out of the house. Despite it may look bright, but that's just gray, and there's darker gray coming, and it'll be raining again. So welcome to British spring/summer. Anywho, I think we'll end there today. But the first 14 days are the hardest 14 days, more mental than physical. Like you'll get over the squirts. You'll get over the initial lack of energy or transfer of your body processing the energy. And then suddenly, I gotta go do stuff now. I can't sit on my ass all day watching YouTube videos. I can't, watch do nothing anymore. I've got to get up and do stuff now, and it's great. It feels better than ever. So, thanks, and until next time, eat meat.